Welcome to our live training session. My name is Matt Schell. I'm a trainer at Unity Technologies. Today, we're going to be taking a look at prototyping core gameplay, first-person shooter gameplay, with Ultimate FPS, which is an asset store asset. So I'm going to show you the completed demo that we're going to create, and then I'm going to explain a little more context around the project. So let's just dive right in. So I am going to play my completed version of the scene. Let's maximize that, get a full screen. And so you can see we have this kind of Tron-like FPS shooter. We have a gun that we can aim down. There's this patrolling drone robot, and if it sees us and gets close to us, it will blow us up. And we can also use our laser gun here to shoot it. Unfortunately, I was a little too close there, and so it still exploded, but that's fine. You can see we can kill it with the laser gun. And so we have a special invisibility cloak effect that we've set up with this nice refraction shader that we can use to sneak past him. And then we can also use it to sneak past the second enemy here, which is this robotic gun turret. And if we stop and let our invisibility run out, it will also be able to shoot us and kill us to death. And so all of this content is created with material from the Unity Plus Accelerator Pack. So the Unity Plus Accelerator Pack is a set of tools which include Ultimate FPS, which is what we're going to be using today and focusing on today, Playmaker, which is a node-based, graph-based gameplay scripting or visual scripting solution, which is what I used to create the AI for the two enemies and then also the controls for the invisibility behavior. And then Amplify Shader Editor, which is a visual shader editing tool, a node-based, graph-based shader editing tool, which is what we used to create that refractive invisibility shader. So all three of these are currently available as part of the Unity Plus Accelerator Pack. So if you sign up for the Unity Plus service, you're going to get access to these three for free. And so we're going to be spending the next 3 live training sessions taking a look at each of these packages and just looking at kind of some of the possibilities of things that you can make using some of these tools. So what you get when you sign up for Unity Plus is one of the sort of popularly requested features is the ability to control your splash screen, right? To have no splash screen, a custom splash screen, some variation on the Unity splash screen, and that's now been made available through Plus. We're also giving a priority access to 3 of our services. So performance reporting allows you to get crash reports and error reports from your game once it's out in the wild. Unity Analytics you can use to gather all kinds of data from your players, including obviously things like player behavior related to monetization, but you can also create custom analytic events to see, oh, everybody's getting stuck on level 3. Maybe we may need to make a change to the difficulty there. There's a lot of cool possibilities there for more than just free-to-play games, although obviously free-to-play is a big application for that. You also get access to the priority queue for Unity Cloud Build. So Unity Cloud Build is our cloud-based build farm. So you give Cloud Build a URL for your source control repository, and then you can say, make me a build in the cloud and send me a link when it's done. And that works for desktop, mobile, and is really convenient and useful. And so as a Plus member, you get put into a faster queue where you have to wait less long for your builds than, for example, free users. You also get a month's free access to the Unity Courseware. So we have this new program where we are offering a certificate to become a Unity certified developer, which is a test that you can take. And we are making available this courseware so you can study to pass the test, get a certificate to show your potential employers or clients that you know what you're doing within Unity. Another super popularly requested feature is the dark editor UI, right? You'll see I'm using it. You see a lot of other people using it. Something that a lot of people wanted access to and that we're now making available as part of the Plus subscription, along with many other there's asset store discounts and multiplayer services and also a higher revenue cap, right? One of the things for the requirements for the Pro license is that if you're earning a certain amount of revenue, you're required to get a Pro subscription, and that revenue cap is raised if you're a Plus customer to $200,000. So many excellent benefits. And so what we're going to be doing today is looking at taking the first-person shooter slice of the little prototype game that I showed you in the demo and getting that working using Ultimate FPS. Now, Ultimate FPS is a super robust FPS shooter kit with really a lot of features going way beyond the basics right there and ready to use. And just to kind of talk about the bigger picture for a second with regard to the asset store, using assets in your productions and in your prototypes, something like UFPS is a great example of this. If you're thinking about making a game which includes first-person shooter elements, right? I highly encourage you to take a look at what has already been created and made available on the asset store, right? You don't want to spend a lot of time reinventing the wheel if, for example, you're willing to have fairly sort of industry standard gun behavior, let's say, but the innovative thing that you want to put in your game is you want to have a grappling hook and lots of tall buildings to swing around on, or you want to have invisibility like I put in my prototype, or you have some twist you want to put on the formula. Well, you may not need to reinvent the wheel with a lot of the core gameplay if it kind of follows established patterns and there's already something available. So and this goes kind of across the board. I strongly encourage you to take a look before you go and build everything from scratch to see if something is available. You know, even if you have a lot more time than money, the cost of some of these assets relative to the many months or even years that it would take you to get this functionality working on your own is just an incredible deal. And I think UFPS is a good example of that. So we're going to do UFPS this week. In 2 weeks, we're going to look at Playmaker. So Playmaker is a visual scripting tool that's been used in many large popular games that you may very well have played, shipped using Playmaker. And I think it's a great tool if you are coming into Unity, you're not familiar with C# scripting or text-based scripting, and you want to get some interactivity going in your projects. Playmaker is a great one to look at, and it has a really well-developed visual scripting environment for you to get some gameplay working quickly. The next and the third and last session that we're going to do on the Accelerator Pack is on Amplify Shader Editor. So Amplify Shader Editor is another node and line or sort of wire and box graph-based editor tool, but in this case, instead of creating gameplay code, you're going to be creating shaders for your game so that you can give your game that real unique visual polish that it needs to stand out, right? And as we know, sort of visuals are just an incredibly important aspect of games, right? And become more and more important all the time. And so we're going to take a look at Amplify. We're going to create that refractive invisibility shader that I showed you guys, and we'll look at some other stuff as well. And that's going to be in 4 weeks from today. So to kind of wrap it up, Unity Plus is $35 a month. You get the Accelerator Pack free, which is a $190 value. I think it's a great deal, and there's some great content there to work with. And I personally have had a lot of fun working with this stuff in preparing for this session. There's some really cool stuff in there. So I encourage you to check it out. You can find out more at unity.com/accelerate. And so let's get started. So we are going to close up this complete version of the project, and we are going to take a look at the incomplete version of the project. So in this version of the project, I've pulled out all of the UFPS content. We still have the two enemies with their behavior defined by Playmaker, but we don't have the player, and we don't have the kind of core FPS mechanics. And that is what we're going to get working today. So just a quick kind of overview of the session goals for today's hour-long session. We're going to learn how to customize the UFPS player prefab with our own image effects and artwork, right? We're going to add in that arm, and we're going to get this kind of Tron-like visual effect that you can see on the screen using some image effects. and that's what we're going to do in the next segment. We're going to learn how to use the UFPS procedural movement system to support aiming down sights and to just generally give our gun some nice movement and kind of organic springiness. And this is actually, I think, a really cool aspect of UFPS, and we're going to work with this today. We're also going to learn how to allow the player to damage enemies and have the enemies damage the player. We're going to have the drone, which blows up when it gets close, and the turret, which will shoot at you when you come into line of sight. So in our next segment, we're going to get set up with the player prefab and customizing the camera to get our visual look going, and that is going to be our first goal.